Hi everybody, it's Jen here doing a 12 by 12 layout process video. Today I'm doing a layout with 3 photos. These are from earlier this summer. My husband and my oldest son had gone for a walk together to have some guy time. We find as our kids are getting older, it's one of the best ways to get them talking, just to go out off on your own with them and go for a walk and be somewhere they can't be distracted by books or tablets or video games. So yeah, I wanted to do a multi-photo layout, and I had the thought of doing that with some frames. So you can see I'm going to play with this for a little while here. I'm going to switch around what the other frames are quite a lot, but I'm going to stick with that black and white striped frame because I liked it. I really like the contrast there between sort of the nature and then the black and white. I just thought that looked really neat. And I really didn't have any rhyme or reason or decision on what I was going to do with this other than I wanted to add frames and use 3 photos. So you're going to see lots of my thought process this time. I didn't prep this one first and go with it. But here I did cut out just a little bit. I ended up deciding I wanted to go with this really cute paper from October Afternoon with these clouds and the little sun on it. It was one of those papers where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not really sure how I want to use this. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to use the whole thing. So I'm starting here with using some black washi tape with polka dots because I was going to use that black and white frame, so I wanted to make sure I pulled more of that in. And then I cut a strip of that yellow stripe paper as well because of the sun in the background, and I just cut it on an angle so that you could see both of those on the bottom there, and that's from the Poolside collection. So in the end, what I decided to do was go with the 3 photos and then 1 extra frame, and then I'm going to end up using my title sort of as the 5th element, you know, sort of. So I have odd numbers. That's how I like to do things, is with odd numbers. And so the one thing that I did have in mind after I started getting going with this was I had seen a video that Arit did recently where she had these same cork, excuse me, the same cork words, and she had used them in sort of a long title. And so I thought that would be really fun to do the same. And so I wanted to use fun and I wanted to use adventure, and I don't have a plan right now. I'm just thinking, I'm just playing, and I'm using the wax paper to play with it a bit. And you're going to see that the design of this is going to change quite a bit too. So this is where I started. I liked the words, and I was thinking about using the arrows is sort of similar to how she had done hers. And then I thought, remembered that I had these cork thickers that are very similar. If you, on the video, I think they look like they're almost exactly the same color. They're off a little bit, but not enough that I was going to worry about it in any way, shape, or form. So then I decide I'm going to use that to fill out my title so that it actually reads as a long title rather than just words. I wanted to explain the layout, if that makes sense. And here's where I start moving it around and trying to think of how do I want to do this. And it's still going to get moved around, but the title's going to end up going there. And I decided not to use the hello, but instead have, it's going to read fun and adventure with Dad. Just because it's on wax paper, I didn't move it around. But the number of rows is going to stay the same, if that makes sense. So I knew how I wanted to make that fit. So here I've moved this around, and this is how it's going to end up with that horizontal photo in the left, and the square photo with the frame, and then my longer vertical photo. I'm just trying to think. Pretty sure these are 3x4s, and I don't think I cut them down much, other than the one that's in the square frame was 3x4, and I just cut it down to fit into the square. So I think it ends up being closer to probably 3x3, I would guess, but just a tiny bit longer, I think. So I'm using my August, is that right? August Citrus Twist kit, and also some die cuts from the Poolside collection that I had just bought myself. And then there's the chipboard pieces as well from that collection. And I really, really wanted to use those diamond shapes that are in the different colors. So I'm going to end up using 3 of them on this layout in 3 different spots as sort of the main part of an embellishment cluster. Excuse me, my voice today is gravelly. It's relatively early in the morning, and I realized I had never done this video, and I did this layout like 2 weeks ago. I'm not really sure what happened there. I've gone back and looked at my channel like 4 times, and I'm like, am I sure I didn't put this video up? But no, I don't remember doing the voiceover for it. So one of those moments, I guess. It's been busy the last few weeks getting ready for back to school and all of that kind of stuff. So there I just backed that other frame, this second frame, with some pattern paper. And actually, no, I lie. I just used a die cut to back it with, because I knew I wasn't going to use the rest of the die cut, and it had some nice lines on it for journaling. So that didn't bother me to cut it up and not use it as it was originally intended. It was larger than I wanted, and it was kind of had something on there I probably wouldn't have ended up using, just with the way that our summer ended up being. And so that worked out quite well. So you can see I'm pretty set with what I'm doing. I've moved everything over, shifted to the left, because I wanted to make sure you could see that super cute little sun. And now I'm going to put my title down, and I'm going to use these cork arrows as well to point to the words. And I think it turns out really cute. I'm really pleased with how this title went. I did, yes, rip that V 3 times. They're quite thin, and but luckily, I ripped it twice there. I just ripped it for the 3rd time right there. I'm using a bone folder just to try to keep it even. Sorry for my head in the way there. It just needed a straight surface, and it was like the closest thing to grab out of my little tote on my desk. Just because they're really thin, and because there's nothing straight about the background paper with the clouds, so I just grabbed that to do that. So there, and I pulled off a little heart as well. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I think it looks really cute. And now what am I doing here? Oh, I'm just pulling out another little cork shape, this little star that's a bit smaller so that it fits better. And I'm just fussing a little tiny bit with the placement of stuff. There we go. The cork thickers are much easier to work with because they're cardboard, and the other ones are like actually thin cork, so they're a little bit harder to work with there. So I just switched those around because I wanted to do the dot, dot, dot. And my husband noticed when I showed him this layout, he's like, oh, there's actually no pictures of me with our son. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's pretty typical, and the photos that there are of my son are pretty funny. So I said it. That's why I put it in the title, so it was obvious what was going on. So yeah, I'm using those little chipboard pieces, and I'm also using some, you can see them right on the side there, those are the Pink Fresh puffy stickers, and I think I'm going to cut one of them, and if you have the layout in front of you, you can tell. It just wasn't working otherwise, but you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. And if somebody is looking at my layouts and my albums and say, hey, you cut this, I can see the edge. You're looking too closely, people. I just made it work for me. Right now I'm actually coloring in an Evalicious puffy sticker. It was sort of a white wood grainy, but I really wanted something different up there. And so it looks good right now, but as soon as I touch it, I realized that ink is not going to dry. I wasn't sure if it was going to, because it's kind of plasticky, right? It wasn't going to stick. But I thought I would give it a try and let it dry for a bit while I worked on the other clusters, and yeah, it doesn't work, so I have to find something else. And that's where the cut piece is going to end up. So yeah, I like to do my clustering, as I mentioned before, in 3s. So I'm going to just do the side of the title there as my 3rd cluster. So each one of them has that diamond shape. I'm going to use a puffy sticker in each one, and then I'm also playing with these wood they're buttons, and then they have like an enamel dot in the middle. They're a little bit bigger than I would have liked, and I think at one point I actually pull the middle out and try just using the middle, but then I just decided to just leave it as is, even though it's bigger than I kind of wanted, and I'm still looking at it now and I'm like, it's not like my favoritist, but is that a word, favoritist? I just made that up. but I just decided to leave it and use it as is. So here's where I discover that puffy sticker, all the ink was coming off in my fingers. So I take it off, and here I'm cutting this pink fresh one. And that kind of works because now I have a pink fresh puffy sticker in each spot. I have the smile there. There's a little heart by the title, and then that one that says, is it Happy Things? Hold on. Sorry, I have my layout here, taking my mouth away from the mic. Yeah, that one says Happy Things, and it has lots of colors on it. So I thought that was kind of fun and happy, and pulled out a little bit more of the yellow as well in the sun. And let me see here. Oh, so I'm doing some journaling, and I was just shaking up. I'm going to use some black Heidi. I always say Heidi Shine now. We're all doing it. Have you noticed that in videos? We're all doing it. The Heidi Swap Color Shine. Look what you started, Adele. I don't know if she watches my videos, but this is what she started. I'm using the black. I just wanted to pull that in because of the contrast with that frame and also with the washi tape on the bottom. Here I'm actually being smart. I can't believe it. And using my Heidi Swap craft mat instead of getting the sprinkles all over my blue mat on my desk, which is, I had cleaned really well and was trying to keep it clean, and then it's not clean anymore, and I spilled like India ink on it, and you know what that's like, crafters. But when you're doing the videos, you don't want that like nasty smudgy stuff in the background. So I actually was smart and pulled out my mat. I'm so impressed with myself. Here I'm just using the edge of a tissue just to pull a little bit of the extra out, and I did discover, so tip for you guys, the October afternoon paper is a bit thinner than some of the other pattern papers, and there's a spot right on the left there that has quite a bit of ink left on it, and it actually went right through the paper and down onto my mat. So if you're sprinkling on October afternoon paper with nothing underneath it, just beware that it's not as thick as some of the other pattern papers, and it will just bleed right through. Here I'm using some of my stamps that came with my kit, and I'm just stamping a little bit down in the bottom there, and then I'm moving all that stuff out of the way so I can stamp right in that little spot there. So that one says memories, and then down on the bottom it says #goodtimes. And the last thing I'm going to do as well is, there was a little one with some stars on it. I'm going to stamp that in this black as well, and it sort of, oh sorry, my head totally in the way. I do it up in the top corner, and then over on this left side, and then I'm going to do again over by the title, and it almost just looks like fancy splatter, if that makes sense. It blended right in, so that's really cool. So here's a close-up. I'm not sure if you can even tell those stars are there. Can you see them? Sort of in the bottom right edge there. There's my #goodtimes. And then here's the last cluster, and I've got some photos coming for you. So I hope you enjoyed. I will be back again real soon. This should be coming out Tuesday, and on Thursday I have another Lifted episode with Christy. Bye guys, and thanks for watching.